Right now, a federal judge blocks a Trump administration freeze on federal grants and loans. How long the judge's ruling will last and what could be impacted by a potential freeze.
Plus, Wisconsin lawmakers are introducing a bill to help protect immigrants in sensitive areas. This as both sides of the aisle try to get a grip on how immigration policies are enforced in the state.
I'm Jalen Banks reporting from the Findorf headquarters on the major changes coming to the company's ownership structure.
We'll have those stories and more right now on News 3 Now at 6. Good evening, I'm Eric Franke.
And I'm Sarah Carlson.
We start with breaking news out of Washington, D.C., where a federal judge has temporarily blocked a Trump administration freeze on federal grants and loans that could total in the trillions of dollars. The White House says they want to do an across-the-board ideological review of federal spending.
Now, the judge blocked the action minutes before it was set to go into effect. The pause on the freeze will last now until Monday. News 3 Now's Arman Rahman breaks down who and what will be impacted if the freeze begins.
Even though federal funding has been allowed to continue until Monday, organizations here in Dane County are still navigating what to do if they lose federal funding then.
Without these programs, it has a pretty serious impact on true, real families.
The Boys and Girls Clubs of Dane County get 20% of their budget, about $2.8 million, through either direct federal grants or federal funds that go through the city. That mostly pays for salaries and direct programming, which would hang in the balance if federal funding doesn't continue.
Our mentoring program is largely funded by the Office of Juvenile Justice and Detention funds. That will need to be suspended. Or at least pared down at this point.
Leaders there say if their after-school programs are not funded and go away, they've seen
crime kicks up. Kids are out of school and, they need things to be engaged in.
Early Tuesday, Head Start Wisconsin was told they would not be included in the pause, but they were on the edge of their seats most of the day when their online reimbursement system froze.
Head Start programs have not been able to access funding.
In Dane County alone, they received $14 million in federal funding. Executive Director Jen Bailey says other programs in the state would shut down without theirs, which also has ripple effects.
Many families would be at risk of losing their jobs if we had to close our program even for a short period of time. Kids rely on the nutritious meals that they receive with us every day that they attend Head Start programming. And many children receive their 4K, their school district programming, in Head Start classrooms.
Last year, the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction got about $2.1 billion in federal grants, either directly or through state agencies, to cover administrative costs, contracts, and school aid payments. A spokesperson tells me they're still working with the federal government to figure out what a pause would do to that. Reporting in Madison, Arman Rahman, News 3 Now.
Thank you, Arman. Now, we reached out to SSM Health regarding the Meals on Wheels program done in partnership with Dane County. They say right now the funding pause would not disrupt their day-to-day operations. Meanwhile, Governor Tony Evers and Attorney General Josh Kaul say Wisconsin is joining a coalition of states in a lawsuit aimed at stopping this funding freeze. Now, Madison Mayor Satya Rhodes Conway also released a statement on the federal funding directive. In it, she says, quote, "We are currently evaluating at all levels of city government what the tangible effects of this directive will be, both immediately and in the future. City staff are working on an initial inventory and dollar amount of federal funds the city receives and the services that could be impacted by recent federal actions. We will provide a more detailed update as soon as that information is complete."
Former Wisconsin Congressman Sean Duffy is now the head of the Department of Transportation. Today, the Senate confirmed him to that position. It oversees more than 50,000 employees and faces numerous travel-related issues. Duffy served in the House of Representatives from 2011 until 2019 before becoming a Fox News host. He resigned from Fox in November. Meanwhile, several other Senate Democrats who previously had supported Duffy voted against the former congressman. That was to protest President Trump's freeze on federal grants and loans. And Democratic Senator Tammy Baldwin actually voted to confirm Duffy today. She said in a statement, quote, "It is critical that we have a Secretary of Transportation who understands Wisconsin's transportation needs, and I have confidence Sean is that guy. I have long fought to ensure our infrastructure is built with American products by American workers, and I will continue to press Sean to ensure that work continues."
The state's top Republicans want one of the Wisconsin Supreme Court's liberal justices to remove herself from a case about collective bargaining. Assembly Speaker Robin Vos and Senate Majority Leader Devin LeMahieu are calling on Justice Janet Protasewicz to recuse herself from the pending Act 10 lawsuit. Last year, a judge virtually overturned the Scott Walker law, which revoked the right of most public workers to bargain for wage increases. Republicans immediately appealed the ruling, which is now on hold. It's expected to end up before the High Court. Meanwhile, Assembly Democratic Leader Greta Neubauer and Senate Democratic Leader Dianne Hasselbein say Justice Brian Hagedorn should also recuse himself because he used to work for former Governor Scott Walker. Their statement reads, in part, quote, "As former Governor Scott Walker's chief legal counsel, Hagedorn was a key drafter of this legislation. The need for recusal in this case is extremely clear."
House Republicans are challenging sanctuary jurisdictions. Those are places where local authorities don't go after people whose only crime is coming to the U.S. illegally. The House Oversight and Government Reform Committee says it's investigating such places. Its chair says they're hindering efforts to remove dangerous criminals. However, those against the arrests argue law-abiding undocumented immigrants should be allowed to stay. They point to their economic contributions and ties to family members who are citizens. But the current border czar disagrees.
We're sending a message. It's not okay to be in this country legally. It's not okay to enter this country legally. It's a crime, and there's going to be consequences.
Now, he says ICE is prioritizing violent criminals for now, but people who've lost deportation cases will be next, followed by anyone else without proper documents. Democrats and Republicans in the state legislature here are trying to get a grip on how immigration policies are enforced in Wisconsin.
1 week ago, President Trump signed an order that would allow law enforcement to enter sensitive areas like churches, hospitals, and schools to detain immigrants. Our Merrill Hubbard was at the state capitol this morning to see how Wisconsin Democrats are responding and to listen to those who are fearful.
The idea of federal agents entering a space where people are worshiping is absolutely frightening to me.
Reverend Dr. Jonathan Grieser of Grace Episcopal Church is trying to prepare for new immigration policies.
These decisions seem to be being taken without consideration for the implications for the larger community.
Reverend Grieser was one of many church leaders that stood beside Democrats at the state capitol Tuesday morning. All want more protection for immigrants in Wisconsin. Democrats introduced this bill that aims to protect immigrants who go to places like churches, schools, or hospitals from being detained solely based on their immigration status. Under this bill, law enforcement at the state and federal level would need a judicial warrant to get access to such places to detain an individual.
It simply enforces that officials follow the proper procedures of securing a judicial warrant before attempting to enter any of these sacred and sensitive places.
The bill applies to all civilians and their constitutional right, protecting them from unlawful searches without a judicial warrant.
Chaos is not a safety solution. Hate is not a policy, and fear is not safety.
Kids deserve to feel safe in school. People deserve to seek medical care without fear of separation or detainment.
Safety is their top concern, and if churches aren't considered safe, Reverend Grieser worries about vulnerable people in the community.
What we see already, I think, is that people who are fearful and worried about their situation are probably going to be less likely to reach out for help.
Now, Republican Assembly Speaker Robin Vos stated last week that Republicans would be writing legislation that would force law enforcement to cooperate with federal immigration officials. Now, if Republicans' legislation like this is put forward, Governor Tony Evers is almost certain to veto it.
Well, another windy yet mild day out there today. Chief Meteorologist Alex Harrington is here to tell us when this warm stretch will end. Alex.
Yeah, all of the above out here on the patio. As we just zoomed in, when we were zoomed out a little bit, you can still see the trees moving behind me. I'm a little bit sheltered when I'm close up here to the camera, but it is breezy out there. Actual wind speeds right now between 5, 10, 15, 20 miles per hour. Then you bring the gusts where we're reporting gusts. We still have gusts, Lone Rock, 30 mile per hour wind gusts, 25 mile per hour wind gusts right now in Janesville. And this will continue through the nighttime hours. Temperatures, as Eric just said, this windy conditions are bringing in mild readings. It's still 46 degrees in Madison, but when you add those wind gusts to around 30, it does put just a little bit of a bite in the air. So 46 in Middleton, 46 up towards Waunakee and DeForest, 46 up 51 towards Sun Prairie. We got a 45 to the south in Belleville. Planning the rest of our evening, breezy conditions. When you join us for our 10 o'clock newscast, our temperatures will still be over 10 degrees warmer than our normal high temperature for this time of year. But cooler weather eventually is going to be on the way. And with that will be rain and snow shower chances coming up in Maine weather. I'm going to give you a glimpse of this weekend's unsettled weather.
Alex, thank you. A high schooler is facing a disorderly conduct charge stemming from a threat made in the Wisconsin Heights School District. On January 24th, the district canceled classes across all schools after receiving information about a potential threat. Now, that threat was later found not to be credible. The sheriff's office says it's referring the charge because the student created, quote, unnecessary alarm. It's now up to the DA's office whether or not to formally charge the teen.
Madison police are asking those who buy and sell online to meet in public places to do so. This comes after a man had a gun pointed at him while trying to buy something from Facebook Marketplace. Officers responded to Westbrook Lane on the city's west side late last week. The victim was able to drive away unhurt, luckily, but police haven't arrested anyone and say the investigation is ongoing. Coming up on News 3 Now at 6, big changes are coming to a longtime construction company based in Madison.
After the break, how workers at Findorf will benefit as the company transitions to 100% employee-owned.
You're watching News 3 Now at 6.
Findorf Construction announced yesterday there will be a major change headed to how the company is owned.
Our Jalen Banks joins us and tells us more on what these changes mean for employees.
Now, you may have seen this name all throughout Madison at different construction sites. And after over 100 years of being in business for the Findorf Construction Company, major changes are headed its way and the company's ownership structure.
Findorf Construction has been in business since southern Wisconsin for 135 years. The company will transition to being 100% employee-owned.
You know, we had 15 shareholders, and when you pick 15, there's 16. When you pick 20, there's 21, right? You always want to include people. So now we'll have over 300 of our employees will be employee owners in the business. And so this decision really to benefit more was a pretty easy decision for those of us who were the majority shareholders.
The company introduced a plan that gives employees ownership through stock ownership plans and stock allocations, something their CEO feels can only benefit company culture.
We've always been supportive of our employees. A lot of our growth is based on their initiative and their growth career opportunities. Hoping this can even stimulate that even more now that they have a little more to do with that growth and success of the companies.
He also feels this lays the groundwork for the future of the company.
We're 135 years in Madison. We've been in Milwaukee 50 years. We've been in Wausau with an office for almost 10 years. You know, I truly believe this speaks to like the legacy of Findorf and being here for the next 100 years is setting ourselves up for success with empowering our employees with this opportunity.
Exciting stuff. Now, still ahead, seasoning and spice maker McCormick predicts which flavor will be dominating menus in 2025.
Plus, the NFL draft just a few months away, how one Brown County business is trying to help people save some money as they head to Titletown. And could we see temperatures get into the 50s soon? Alex returns the answer when we come back.
You're watching News 3 Now at 6.
The NFL draft in Green Bay is less than 3 months away already. And if you're thinking of staying in that area, get ready for expensive hotel stays if you can even find a room.
But one business in Brown County is looking to help visitors and make some money for themselves. Paul's Trailer and RV Center is about 18 miles south of Green Bay. Now, the business is renting out its campers. They cost $150 per person per night. The owner, Paul Quinnett, says that's far better than what hotels are offering for rooms.
We put some ads out to see what kind of response we would get. And I've looked into planning, you know, things to where to put them and rent. Hotel rooms and stuff, they're not really, from what I have investigated into, not even available around anywhere.
You really got to like football. Well, the camper models allow for up to 8 adults with the help of bunk beds. The 2025 NFL Draft starts on April 24th.
That could be fun, oddly. All right, the top-selling maker of seasonings and spices has announced its 2025 flavor of the year. McCormick says a spice called ají amarillo, a chili pepper native to South America, is expected to be popular. Now, this spice has a hint of tropical fruit along with a dash of heat, similar to cayenne pepper. The seasoning can be used on vegetables or meats, dips, vinaigrettes, and even distilled into a simple syrup for cocktails, so everywhere. McCormick predicts the spice will increase on menu appearances by 44% over the next couple of years. Sounds good.
Well, the milder temperatures sticking around a bit longer, and so is the wind. Alex now with a complete forecast.
Yeah, that wind is that trade-off for the mild temperatures, and wind will be around for the next 3 days, as Eric just said. Mild weather too, and then that unsettled weather that I said I'd give you a sneak peek of, keep you up to date on what our future track models are showing for our weekend weather coming up in just a moment. But the temperature ride, here we go. 40 degrees again for Wednesday, all the way up to 50 by Thursday. Still staying at 40 on Friday. A little cooler on Saturday. Going on into Sunday, we warm back up again to 43 before cooler temperatures eventually make it into southern Wisconsin. So the roller coaster continues, and as we continue this roller coaster, we will continue the breezy conditions. Peak wind gusts today between 30, 35, 40 miles per hour. One of the winners here, Monroe, 44, 37 in the Dells, nearly 40 in Janesville. So you had to hold on to the hats today. And as we look at our live First One weather cam, our Upland Hills sky cam in Dodgeville, right now, if you see the flag right there, we've got the strong breeze coming out of the west and southwest, and occasionally the camera's shaking just a bit out there to give you a glimpse. Yeah, it's windy out there, and let's continue to track it. As we go into Wednesday morning, 6 o'clock, still looking at 20 to 30 mile per hour wind gusts, so get ready for that. But the winds will ease up as we get into Wednesday evening, 10 o'clock. Wind gusts really barely existent, but they'll be back on Thursday with those warmer temperatures pressing up to near 50 degrees as winds then approach gusts 25 to 30 miles per hour. Maybe not quite that 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts that we were seeing today, but certainly on the gusty side, we're going to reduce the wind gusts more towards the 20 to 30 mile per hour range over the course of the next couple days. So small trees, large branches will be in movement, but the winds where we were starting to see the big trees moving around and even approaching 50 mile per hour wind gusts where some of the branches are starting to break over portions of southern Wisconsin. Those winds are likely part of our past, and we'll start to just see our winds more in this 20 to 30 mile per hour range over the course of the next couple of days. With the winds, we've got the warm temperatures up near 40 on Madison, 37 in Baraboo, and 40 for your high temperature for Wednesday when the average high is 27 degrees, and then we'll do 50 on Thursday. And then now we transition towards our future storm lineup. Some rain and snow shower activity on Friday, some snow shower activity Saturday going on into Sunday, and later next week also looking a bit unsettled. I think much of Friday's weather system is going to stay from Madison and points to the south. Notice how it's just very brief. Friday morning we could have a rain or a snow shower. Snow shower activity maybe perhaps just staying mostly north of Madison Saturday going on into Sunday. So perhaps much of southern Wisconsin missing out on both of these weather events. Current temperatures though right now, 46 in Madison, 51 in the Wisconsin River Valley. It's 40s out there right now, but as I mentioned, it's breezy. So if you are going to be taking a walk out, you might need to bundle up just a little bit out there as we plan the rest of our evening. Still near 40 degrees as you join us at 10 o'clock. And as I mentioned, late in the 10-day period, look at Thursday of next week. That's our next chance of snow showers after our unsettled weekend ahead.
And coming up in sports, the border battle renews on the ice this week. The first word that comes to one Badger's mind when he thinks of the Gophers, we'll find out next on News 3 Now. Wisconsin men's hockey heads north this weekend for a huge series against Minnesota. And Mike Hastings' squad is looking for a little revenge from earlier this season. Remember, the Gophers swept the Badgers back in November. And when it comes to the border battle, there's not much that needs to be said. These two programs just don't like each other.
I think the first word's hatred. Both teams don't like each other at all. And they got the best of us here at the beginning of the season, and I think it's our turn this weekend. I think this will be one of the most fun weekends of the year. Every hockey player loves to be the bad guy, and that's exactly what we are this weekend, and it'll be sold out and a lot of fun.
Nobody in the country scores more goals per game than the Wisconsin women. The Badgers lead the nation in scoring with just under 6 per game. But lighting the lamp won't be as easy as it sounds this weekend. UW heads to Duluth for a top 6 showdown. Now, the Badgers swept the Bulldogs back in October, outscoring them 12-4. And for a repeat performance, Mark Johnson's team plans on just continuing to do what got them to this point.
They both have good goalies, so I think we've been doing a really good job of finding a way to score on any goalie. And I think if we just stick to our plan and keep working on what we learned from this weekend at St. Cloud, we should have a good deal of success.
Going into Duluth this weekend, can we take some of the things that we learned about playing hard against St. Cloud into this weekend? And if we do that, then we'll have a chance to be successful.
And just a reminder to check out this week's Wisconsin Huddle. Carter Gilmore stops by to talk all things hoops, including ranking the best Badger dunks of the year. Show airs on Friday at 6:30 right here on News 3 Now. And they got a big one on Wednesday at Maryland. That's not going to be easy.
Road tests. That's where you make the difference in the Big Ten. Zach, thank you. Final check with Alex.
Yeah, Sarah and I were just talking during the break about the winds. When are the windiest days going to be? It's going to be Wednesday and Thursday. The temps up near 50 on Thursday. Little snow shower activity over the course of the weekend that we'll keep an eye on.
All right.
Tolerable.
Tolerable.
Alex, thanks. Thanks for joining us for News 3 Now at 6.
We'll see you back here at 10 o'clock.